On number 21 of the midterm review packet, you're asked to change this exponential form into logarithmic form. Now we've written each term in different colors. Use that to your advantage to figure out what the base is, the x, and what the y is. Good luck studying for the midterm. All right, this is for the midterm review problem number 22. You're asked to evaluate log base 3 of 243. The group who did this problem said you can get help from it on page 499 through 501 in your textbook. Now they said this is written in logarithmic form. It equals something. Our goal in this problem when we're trying to evaluate is figure out what log base 3 of 243 equals. So they said you could rewrite this in exponential form as 3 of something equals 243. Figure out what goes in that box and you'll have your answer. Number 23 of the midterm review says write the expression as a single logarithm. Here we have two logarithms and we're trying to condense them into a single log. So let's start with these coefficients like the 4 and the 6. These are actually the exponents of x and the exponent of x plus 2. So 4 log of x will actually be rewritten log x to the 4th power. Minus this 6 is going to move to be the exponent of the x plus 2. Log x plus 2 to the 6th power. Now the last thing you need to do happens to do with this minus sign here. So I'll let you figure that part out. Number 24 of the midterm says multiply or divide and state any restrictions. Well, I think we're going to divide because of that division symbol. But when dividing fractions, we actually flip the second fraction and multiply. Now let's focus on this state any restrictions. A restriction is going to come from anything that makes the denominator of either of the fractions 0. So right here, one restriction is c cannot equal 5, since 5 minus 5 would be 0. Now to find out the other two restrictions, we're going to have to factor this out and see what values of c would create a 0 in this denominator. If you need more help with this, check out page 576, specifically example number 6. Good luck. Number 25 of the midterm review packet has us subtract these two fractions. In order to subtract fractions, they have to have a common denominator. And to see what the best common denominator or the least common denominator is, we should probably factor this to see if they already share a common factor. Factoring the numerator, we end up with b minus 4 times b plus 2. And the denominator is going to be b plus 2 times b minus 1. And we'll leave that fraction as the same. Now, take a look at this first fraction. Can you eliminate anything? And if you can, does that solve our problem of finding a common denominator? If you need more help with this problem, check out pages 583 through 584. Good luck. Number 26 of the midterm says subtract. Now in order to subtract fractions, they have to have the same denominator. So this one's denominator, x squared minus 9, doesn't match this one's denominator of x minus 3. But the good news is it actually has the factor x minus 3 within it. Try factoring this denominator and see if you can find the least common denominator between the two fractions. If you need help, check out page 582. At the very end, you're going to come up with the solution for x. You need to make sure that's not an extraneous solution. An extraneous solution will arise if it happens to turn one of these fractions' denominators into 0. So if you need more help with extraneous solutions, check out page 591. Good luck. For number 27 of the midterm review packet, we have x squared plus y squared equals 36. We're told to graph this and find any lines of symmetry. Now this is a circle. It's a circle centered at 0, 0, and it's in this form. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. So if you compare this to the problem, can you figure out what the radius is? If you can, graphing it won't be that bad. You start at 0, 0, and you go out the number of units the radius is, in every direction if possible. Then connect it with a circle, and you're done. For number 28 of the midterm review packet, we have to graph this equation and describe its lines of symmetry. X squared minus y squared equals 16. This isn't in standard form right now, so it's kind of hard to tell what it is. If we divide both sides by 16, we can see it's actually a hyperbola. So our a value, a squared is 16, so a is 4 and b is 4. So graphing this, the center's at 0, 0 because we don't have an x minus h and a y minus k. And you're going to go left and right 4, up and down 4. You're going to create a box and some asymptotes. And then you're going to describe lines of symmetry. Let's talk about lines of symmetry. Oh, if you need more help on this particular problem, check out page 642. All right, now let's talk about lines of symmetry. Here we have two parabolas. Now a line of symmetry is a line. It's not a point. We need to describe a line. This one's line of symmetry happens to be the y-axis. It's the line that we could fold this parabola to make this side overlap right onto that side. This line of symmetry is x equals 0. This is the equation of the line, that is the y-axis. Now down on this one we have a horizontal line of symmetry at 1, 2. So this horizontal line of symmetry is y equals 2. Y equals 2 and x equals 0. In these two cases, those are our lines of symmetry. Number 29 of the midterm review packet says write the equation of a parabola with a vertex at the origin and a directrix at y equals 5. Let's start by graphing the information we have. If the vertex is at the origin, that's right here, and the line y equals 5 is up here. So if that's the directrix and there's the vertex, where is the focus going to be? That's what you have to find out. Also, what is the equation of a parabola look like? Is it going to be one like this? X squared equals 4px, or is it going to be a y squared equals
x squared equals 4px.
Thank you. Or y squared equals 4px. Which one of these will it be? This little chart up here may help you. Which one of these will it be? Good luck. For midterm review problem number 30, we have to write the equation of a hyperbola with the vertices 3, -2, and -9, -2, and also the foci are 7, -2, and -13, -2. I would start by graphing this to try to figure out where the center of this hyperbola is. So 3, -2. and -9, -2. So -3, -6, -9, -2. Find the midway, the halfway point between these 2 points. That's going to tell us the center. It's also going to tell us what our HK are. So, figuring out that the vertices are in horizontal relation to each other, we know this is going to be a hyperbola of the form x minus h squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So the coordinates that are halfway between the vertices will tell us what h and k are. To find a and b, it's going to be a little more challenging. But if you get lost, be sure to check out example 2 on page 643. That should help you a little bit more with this problem. Good luck. All right, here's a little more help with number 30. In fact, here's a step-by-step approach to this. Start by graphing the vertices and the foci. So you're going to graph them. Next, you're going to find the midpoint between the vertices. Or actually, you could even find the midpoint between the foci. Doesn't really matter. It will tell you where the center of this hyperbola is. Once you find out where that center is, you can fill out what h and k are in your final equation. Down here, you're going to find the distance from the center to the vertices. That's going to give you the value of a. Next, find the distance from the center to the foci. That will give you the value of c. Finally, to find the value of b, you're going to have to use your a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Then you'll have everything you need. You can plug it in and you'll have your equation.